How's it, everyone? One of the more common questions that I get is how often should you apply for a credit card? And to be quite frank, that answer can vary. To be more specific, it does depend also on which credit card issuer that you're planning to apply to, but there are a few general rules that you could follow to make it a lot easier. Because Chase has their own set of rules, Citi has their own set of rules, and so on, so it gets a little bit more complicated when you go deeper into it. I will be going over some of those specific credit card issuer rules later, but I really want to focus on those general rules that you could follow to help prevent you from destroying your credit score and also to improve your approval odds altogether. The answer does change depending on how far you are along the credit card journey, so I will be touching upon that as well. One common misconception that I want to get out of the way already is that having more credit cards is worse for your credit score, and you couldn't be further from the truth. In reality, you want to get more credit cards, and in most cases, the more credit cards that you have, the better off your credit score will be. Yes, applying for credit cards can actually negatively hurt your credit score in the short run or short term, but in the long run, getting approved and applying for new credit cards will actually boost your credit score, so it's overall a good thing. When it comes to applying for a new credit card, the first general rule that you should follow is to apply for a new credit card when it makes sense for you. And that comes in a few different parts. First, make sure that you can hit that minimum spend requirement. Because for most credit cards, there will be a sign-up bonus and you're gonna have to spend a certain amount of money in a select period of time in order for you to get that bonus. And the last thing that you wanna do is get approved for a new credit card with the sign-up bonus and not hit the minimum spend requirement. The last checklist item for this general rule is, does this card fit your current and future goals? For example, do you have a trip coming up? Maybe it's a good time to apply for a travel credit card. But do you want a general travel credit card or a hotel card or an airline card? Or do you have huge expected expenses coming up? It might be a good time to apply for a credit card with a high minimum spend requirement because you may as well put those charges towards a sign-up bonus. But if in general you're having trouble hitting those minimum spend requirements, I made a video up here that you could go ahead and watch and hopefully start hitting more sign-up bonuses. Now that you've asked yourselves those general questions, you could be more specific. If you are just starting off on your credit card journey, or maybe you're just an authorized user on someone else's account, or maybe you just have one or even two credit cards, then when should you apply for your next credit card? I would recommend waiting 6 months to up to 1 year before applying for a credit card. This means in your first year of your credit card journey, you're gonna be getting 1 to 2 credit cards. In the beginning, you're gonna wanna start off slowly, so that's all right. Everyone has to start from somewhere, and in that position, you're gonna wanna be building credit. That's your number one priority for now. Only later down the road, when you get more experience and you have more credit history, you'll start to get credit cards for their rewards, for free travel, their benefits, perks, credits, and so on. And that's because if you're just starting off, the concept of a credit card is new for you guys and you might need to get used to it. Credit card debt is no joke, and if you really screw that up early in your credit card journey, it can set you back months to even years. And we don't want you to be doing that. You're in it for the long game. Just remember that it takes time. Sure, there are cases where people get like 4 cards in their first year and so on and so on, and good for you. This is just my recommendation, and there are going to be some outliers from that. After that year is up though, you could slowly start to increase the frequency of how often you could apply for a credit card. So from going from 6 months, you can now start to apply for cards every 3 to 4 months. Then after you do that for another year or 2, you could go ahead and increase once again to applying for a new credit card maybe every month or 2 months. These recommendations are based off the assumption that you are maintaining your credit score, or better yet, you are improving your credit score along this credit card journey. As I mentioned earlier though, life happens and sometimes your credit score could go drastically down. For example, maybe you missed a payment and the bank wasn't able to give you a free pass. Well, that's okay, but you just need to understand that you have to be patient and it will take time to get back to where you once were. But how does this all tie into your credit score? Because if you have a bad credit score, you're gonna have a hard time applying and getting approved for a new credit card. So let's go over what you need to know about those important factors or variables that will affect your approval odds for that new credit card. Your approval odds will come down to 2 main factors. One is going to be your income, and the second is going to be your credit score. Your income affects your approval odds because the bank or the credit card issuer wants to see that you have the money to actually pay off the credit that you are borrowing. The higher your income, the higher your approval odds and your credit limit will be. The second most important factor is going to be your credit score. And it isn't as straightforward as your income because there are multiple subcategories that actually affect your entire credit score. And that's because everyone's credit score is broken down into 5 distinct factors, and each factor is treated differently. Some factors will affect your credit score more, while other factors won't have as big of an impact. The first and the most important factor of your credit score is your payment history, and this accounts for 35% of your credit score. Have you been paying your credit card bills and other credit accounts on time? If not, your credit score will take a huge ding because of it. So no matter what credit accounts you have, make sure you are paying on time. The next factor is credit utilization, which takes up 30%. This is how much credit you are using out of all the available credit that you have. The lower the credit utilization, the better, and the standard that you want to aim for is to have a credit utilization of 30% or less. But ideally, I would recommend trying to hit that 20% credit utilization instead. The third factor is your length of credit history, which takes up 15% of your credit score. The longer your credit history, the better. And this is one reason why you want to keep all of your old credit card accounts open. And that's because those accounts will slowly increase your average credit history's age, which will in turn improve your credit score. The last 2 factors that affect your credit score are both 10%, and they are new credit accounts and credit mix. The credit mix is your mix of credit accounts. So the more that you have, the better your credit score will be. So for example, that's credit card accounts, student loans, auto loans, etc. And new credit accounts is how many hard pulls, hard inquiries you have on your accounts as of recently. The more pulls or the more hard inquiries that you have, the worse your credit score will be. All 5 of those factors affect your credit score, which is one of those main things that determine your approval odds when applying for a credit card. But now you can see how getting more credit cards will actually improve and increase your credit score in the long run. A very important note about credit score and approval odds is that sometimes banks and credit card issuers will look past the actual score itself. So just because you have a decent credit score does not mean that you'll automatically get approved. One thing to prevent that from happening though is to make sure you keep things such as the credit utilization to a minimum. And that's because let's say you have a credit score of 700, but your credit utilization is 70%, you may get rejected for that credit card. Whereas someone else with the same credit score of 700, but a credit utilization of 20%, they may get accepted for that same credit card. But of course, all of that doesn't matter if the credit card issuer themselves have specific rules and guidelines that will actually limit the frequency of how many cards you could get with them. The most obvious and popular rule out there is the Chase 524 rule. This rule states that if you open 5 credit card accounts or more in the past 24 months or 2 years, you will get rejected for your next Chase credit card. Unfortunately, those 5 credit card accounts do not have to be with Chase. They could be from other companies as well. The Chase 524 rule is important because no matter how good your credit score is or how good your credit utilization is, if you are over the Chase 524 rule, you will not be accepted for a new Chase credit card. Another Chase rule to remember is the Chase Sapphire 48-month rule. This rule means you're gonna have to wait 48 months or 4 years after you get the sign-up bonus for a Sapphire Chase card before you're eligible to get another sign-up bonus for that same Sapphire card or for the other Chase Sapphire card. For example, if you got the Chase Sapphire Preferred card in January 2022 and you did get the sign-up bonus, you're gonna have to wait 48 months or 4 years before you're eligible to get the sign-up bonus for the Chase Sapphire Reserve, or if you cancel the Sapphire Preferred and reapply for it. Even Citi has their own rules like this, where you can't apply for more than 1 card in 8 days, and you can't apply for more than 2 cards within a 65-day window. And you can only apply for 1 Citi business card every 90 days. This is why when you're trying to apply for a new credit card, be sure to look up that credit card issuer's specific rules and guidelines, just in case you miss any of them. After all of that, how do you feel about your specific situation? application. Unfortunately, there is no specific time you must wait in between credit card applications. It's always going to vary. It depends on what cards, it depends on what you're going to use it for, it depends on where you are at the credit card journey. I hope the advice in this video will give you a better grasp onto where you are in your situation and to help determine when you should apply for your next credit card. And if you enjoyed this video, please do me a favor and subscribe and hit the like button down below. It would help me so much. And if you have any more questions about your credit cards or your credit card journey, maybe one of these videos will answer those questions. Other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a fun rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next one. Shoots!